Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're doing great. I am doing top shelf. Today, we're going to talk about the trio. I like things that are easy to remember. I can still remember 3 things. Maybe not in that order, but that's what we're going to talk about today. 3 things: freedom, clarity, and resolve. That's an unstoppable trio. So let's think about it. This happens to me more than I'd like to admit, but I remember very specifically a few years back, I was driving home from a trip, and you know how I love to drive. But it's the same route that I had taken 1,000 times. A lot of times it's a couple of 100 miles, maybe even further. And so I remember getting to the exit to where it's close to the house, and I pull off the exit, stop at a stop sign, and I looked around and thought, wow, I have little to no memory of the last 5, 10, 15 minutes. You ever do that? Just on autopilot? The scary truth is, I wasn't just driving that way. I had put a lot of, I'd say, aspects of my life that way. We do the same things over and over. All right? Sometimes it's just autopilot. A conversation, an interaction, maybe decisions that you've made 1,000 times. You don't even think about them anymore. You just, boom, I just react. Now, I talk about triggers a lot. I do. And I think they're very important. However, what I'm talking about, it's not just autopilot, it's complacency. Complacency is horrible. Think about it. It's just that comfort, that routine. It dulls your awareness. It sneaks into different places. It could be our job, our relationships, taking care of our health. It's complacency makes you miss out on things, but also it makes you less productive. You're phoning it in. But I got good news. There is an anecdote. What did Ron White say? If my friend Jimmy Schneider knew the difference in an antidote and an anecdote, he'd still be alive today. There's an antidote. It's the trio: freedom, clarity, and resolve. Freedom, clarity, and resolve. When you have those, you are powerful again. When you put them together, there is no complacency, and you're unstoppable. That's strong words, Dave. I believe it. Freedom, clarity, resolve, and Diet Mountain Dew. They're not a sponsor, but they could be. A lot of people listen to this podcast and don't realize it's video. You can see me. Boom, I got a face for radio. I get that. However, a lot of people don't even know all these are videos too. Yeah, YouTube, hit it, knock it out. So let's talk about them. Freedom, clarity, and resolve. Let's talk about freedom first. All right? Freedom is, and I had a whole very well received O-Talk on freedom. What does it mean to be free? Freedom is, we're going to touch on that, but this is in a different way as well, because freedom, it's not just doing whatever you want. Yeah. It's the ability to choose without chains. Whether those chains are financial or relationships or emotional, being able to choose what you want to do without that negative stuff. I've talked to people that got out of long-term relationships. Maybe they worked at a job I worked at a job for almost 20 years. Or moved to a new city after living in the same place for a long-time resident somewhere else. They realized in many cases, I will almost say most cases, as I think back, for the first time, their life is theirs again. I talked to a dear friend after she left the company that I left after 20 years. She said, I didn't know how stressed I was. I really didn't until I didn't have that. It takes me back to my son when he had terrible ear infections when he was a kid. And then we've got some tubes put in his ears that created some relief. And he was just a different child. And the doctor said, poor thing, didn't know what it was like not to hurt. Sometimes that's the way freedom is. We're stressed. We're smothered. We're all tied up in knots. But we don't even realize it because we're busy taking care of everything and everybody and stepping up and preemptively taking care of things. That's what we do. It's how we work. It's what's expected. And somewhere in that we feel free. Sometimes that's your decision, and I get it, and that's fine. However, the power of choice is freedom. Freedom gives you room to breathe. It gives you room to act. It gives you room to speak. That's freedom. You have some financial margin there. You have some independence. You have the right to say no if you're free. That's fantastic. You have the right. Do you have the ability? Some people struggle with that. But without freedom, you're tapped out, man. It can be debt. It can be toxic people. It could be a routine that owns you rather than you owning the routine. All of this can be caught up and turn into complacency. 78% of workers in America right now live paycheck to paycheck. That is not a money problem. That's a freedom problem. They're not free. They're not free to seek other employment because they can't miss a paycheck. It's tough. And their decisions keep them where they are because they can't afford to leave. That's not freedom. 40% of people are in unfulfilling relationships out of fear. Fear of what? Not necessarily fear of the person. Don't go there. It's fear of, what if I step out? What if I leave? What if I do something else? Oh, the fear of that keeps them in an unfulfilling relationship. Now, I'm not going to talk about what they could do to make it more fulfilling. If you're not in a fulfilling relationship, there's two people in that relationship. But when you're doing that, you're just surviving. You're not living at all. So that's not freedom. And freedom doesn't mean leaving. Freedom means making decisions that gives you some room to think, to talk, to do. That's freedom. 40%. Woo, that's rough. So 78% workers, 40% unfulfilling relationships. And that's not just romantic. That can be best friends. That can be BFFs. All of that stuff. It's just not working. But you don't have the freedom to do something about it. So how do we, when we talk about freedom, how do we look for it? Hey, I've been doing this same thing over and over. It's a routine. I don't remember the last 5 conversations we had. I don't remember the last 5 days of work. I'm getting complacent. Okay. How do we seek it, achieve it, and then keep it? Freedom. First thing is, you got to audit what owns you. Where are you not free and why? Is it debts? Is it your habits? Is it approval you're seeking? What is molding what you're doing? What are you a slave to? It's the opposite of freedom. I'm not free. I am burdened. I'm bound by these things. What are they? You may have 10 things, but pick at least 3. It could be debt. It could be your finances. It could be seeking approval from a particular person or not being able to tell that person no. It may be habits. You may be a smoker. You may be an overeater. You may be a drinker. You may have some habits. What owns you? Okay? Boom. Pick 3. Then start saying no. Every yes needs to be a click. Boom. Now, sometimes you say yes, of course. However, the more times you say yes, the less free you are. Every yes is a no to something, Think about that. If I say yes to this thing that owns me, then I'm saying no to me. I'm giving it my freedom. Every yes is a no to you. So watch those. Yes is easy for everybody else. It's tough on you because yes doesn't give you freedom. No gives you freedom. Think about that. Okay? And then you got to build buffers. Maybe it's a savings account. Maybe it's time in between things. Maybe my weekends are mine. Maybe it's me time. Maybe it's, hey, I'm going to have a date night with Dave. Wow, doesn't that sound great? The other night I watched, I don't know if you've seen Mobland, and I'm not here to advertise anything, but one reason I don't get into those Netflix or any of the streaming services as far as a new series comes out, I have to look how many seasons it is because I binge watch, and I don't wait to binge watch. I binge watch right now. It's 3 a.m. I'm thinking just 2 more episodes. Why not? Build in time to do that or say no to that until this weekend. Boundaries. Create some space between you and those things that own you. You can't do that until you've listed them. Pick 3. Start saying no and build some buffers. Build buffers. If we think of freedom like oxygen, we don't notice it until it's gone. And by then, you're suffocating. Same way with freedom. Same way with freedom. I know people who have moved to new cities and thought, okay, we're going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because they have some freedom. I've done a great job, I believe, coming to Vegas and not adding too many new friends to the list who can come by. I've created some buffers for my time, for my space, for my boundaries. I've learned to say no. Sometimes not saying yes is a no. And then it's because I did that audit. What owns me? So freedom, it's key. Audit what owns you, start saying no, and build in buffers. Because freedom's like oxygen. You don't notice it till it's gone. All right, we got freedom. Are we free? The second one could be, and probably will be, a whole episode of Talking with Dave, and it's clarity. It is so important, and I'm not in a state of mind to probably wordsmith this as with as much importance as I should because it's one of the 3. So I'm going to set an O-Talk just around clarity. But the definition around this is clarity is knowing what matters most. Isn't that important? And then it's the difference between being busy and being effective. Effective, efficient. It's the difference in productivity and activity. That's it. Knowing what matters most. Being clear on that. A clear vision. I think of people, and I don't dwell on this. Lance Armstrong comes to mind and some things, but Michael Phelps, before every Olympic race, he would visualize every stroke. He knew how many strokes it was between the walls, with the push, with the feel. It's the same distance, 25, 50, 100 meters, whatever that. It's the same distance. And he had played it in his mind. And every time before he jumped in the pool, he did the race. How many strokes, the push, the turn, all of that. So by the time he dove into the pool, he already knew it. He already saw the victory because in his mind, he had done that. Now it's just a matter of execution. But that clarity, that vision was so sharp, he couldn't miss it. He felt it. I know a lot of golfers, that's what it is. They talk about visualizing that stroke. That's why the person that gets up, I'm probably going to shank this into the water. Yeah, you probably are. Visualizing that stroke. I've even heard bodybuilders talk about, you've got all these muscles. Goodness, look at all these muscles. But visualizing and focusing on each little strand or portion, that's how you make it pop. But you got to have that clarity. You got to have that clarity. Clarity gives us several things. It gives us direction. We can see this. I can see where I'm going in my career. I can see where I'm going with this relationship. I can see what I want to achieve in the next 7 years. I know in 10 years from now, here's where I want to be. And I'm crystal clear about the direction. Then again, energy is focused on what matters when you do that. So clarity gives us direction. And that direction allows us to focus our activities, our energy, our planning, our spirit, all of that can be focused once it's clear. That allows us to filter all these decisions. It makes it clear. You think about a fitness regimen. You think about a weight loss regimen. You think about a goal. I don't know, it may be a tennis tournament coming up in 6 weeks. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Also, here's what I'm not going to do. I've got clarity. I can't do that and meet this goal. It's fantastic. So let's look at the opposite of that, because this is where a lot of us are from time to time. And I know none of us are in any of these components of the trio at all times. But without clarity, you drift. You get off course. You start looking behind yourself, and goodness, you're off course instead of focusing on it. The old farmer trick: focus across the field and walk toward that. Keep your eye on it. That's how you go in a straight line. Otherwise, you drift. 80% of people never set goals. And by that, I mean a specific, clear vision goal. By this date, I want this. That's one of the cool things when we left high school, when we set 10-year goals. And I think the guidance counselor or someone got the word, but they mailed them to us 10 years later. I think mine went to my mom's house because we move around so much. And it's great to look at what I achieved. And you know what? I didn't dream high enough. I knocked them all out, but they weren't big enough because I didn't see that. But 80%, they never set goals, much less write them down. No wonder they feel stuck. They didn't have a vision of what they're going for. There was no clarity. Here's what we're looking for, guys. Here's what I'm looking for in a tree. So, of that 80%, 92% fail because there's no accountability. So 80% never set a goal. So you got 20% left. But of that 20%, 92% of those fail unless there's accountability. So clarity without support or accountability, that's fool's gold. There's some fog in your clarity. It's so important. You got to have that vision. That way you can focus your energy and you can filter your decisions based on that. But without it, you're just drifting. You're just drifting. So as far as clarity, let's do the same trick we did with freedom. How do we seek it? How do we achieve it? But then how do we keep it? Regarding clarity, first of all, you got to ask, if I could fail, if I couldn't fail, what would I chase? If failure was not even an option, what would I go after? What would that vision be? I can't fail. So, okay, now my focus is dead on. Do that. If failure is not an option, because if you think it's not, chances of it will diminish. And then write that down. People with written goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. That's, to me, a goal. And two, I'm not going to get into the semantics of goals and what that is. However, every day I have a list. It's a schedule and a to-do. And the to-do is not a try. To-do is I'm going to get it done. But I take 8.5 by, I fold them in half. I use extra copy paper or whatever, fold them in half, and this is it. Because I got 4 days on there. It's folded in half and you got 2 sides. Okay? So, boom, here's my schedule. Here are my appointments. Also, I'm going to do this. And so I've got those goals for today, but no, they're not just goals. I got clarity. Here's what I'm going to do. And when I put them on there, I don't have to think about it. If it's important enough to go on there, that's what I do. And I plug it in. That's what I do. I write it down. Now, long-term goals, definitely write those down. I know where I'm going to be when I turn 67. Financially, physically, probably geographically, all of those things. I've got it set, and then I got 3 years to 70. Boom, I'm 60 years old. Can you believe that? This young, vibrant human that I am. Am I clear? You got clarity? But write that down. It's so important. There is something magical when pen goes to paper. In the sales game, you write it down and show it to somebody, it means something versus saying it. When it's written down, it's different. All right? Then review it. I don't throw them away. I've got a huge pile. I've got stuff from years ago I did. I've got calendars all the way back to 2000. Full year calendars. It's great to look at them. I look at shows me and my son went to, or things that me and my daughter did, or vacations, all of that. And it's cool to look back, and it's a walk down memory lane. But also, there's appointments on there and everything. Oh, wow. That has been 20 years since I did. I remember that like yesterday. Or the opposite. Wow. That was 2 years ago? That seems like a lifetime ago. If you can't fail, what would you chase? Write it down. And look at it weekly. How'd I do? Am I closer? Any adjustments need to be made? Is my perspective off a little bit? Because I need to be clear too. Is this still what I want? Yes. All right. Clarity is like a compass. Without it, you can run as fast as you want, and you're maybe in the wrong direction, but you'll still call it progress. Look how far I went. Yeah, but you don't have clarity. You don't know that you're, instead of this much closer, you're this much further away. But you get confused because, but I was moving. Okay. You need that compass. What am I going for? What am I going to do? And let me check, see where I am. Okay? Clarity. So we got freedom and clarity. Now, resolve. This is where we lose some people. We lose a lot of people with freedom. We lose a lot of people with clarity. But you can have both of those things and not have resolve. And does it do you any good? No. Resolve is the power of staying the course. I am not giving up. I am not giving up. Resolve is that muscle that carries you when you feel like quitting. It's the commitment. It's the discipline. It's the grit. It's the toughness. It's the resilience. It's the, I'm going to do it no matter what. I will drag myself across that finish line if I had to. That's the muscle that carries you when you want to quit. Resolve. Absolutely. When something ends, you could fold. You could. But to me, it's better to make a decision around, I will not stop. It didn't go your way. Don't stop. I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to collapse. I'm not going to beg for my old job back because it's familiar. I'm not going to beg for that relationship to continue because it's comfortable, even though there's no freedom and it's toxic. I'm not going to beg people to spend time with me just so I'm not alone. I'm going to move forward. All disappointment, things don't go your way, that shouldn't change your freedom or your clarity about what you want. Don't give up your freedom. Don't lose your clarity. That's resolve. With or without that job, with or without that person, with or without whatever, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to make sure that I am clear on what I'm doing and I'm going to get there. I'm going to think about what is ahead of me rather than what's behind me. I'm going to look at what I've got instead of what I've lost. That's resolve. Yeah, what did Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. Yeah, exactly. That's resolve. So what does resolve give you? We've talked about what it is, but it gives you that strength to keep going when motivation is waning a little bit. I don't feel good today. I don't want to run. I don't even want to get, the alarm went off. I don't want to get, it's raining. Oh, this is a great day to sleep. Okay. That's going to take away some of your freedom. You're clearly not clear right now. That's redundant. So you got to have that resolve. It gives you the strength to keep on going when motivation disappears. And also, resolve creates habits that lock in progress. It's not all of it, but it's a little more. I don't have to get all the way there, but I'm closer. Just a little better. It's so important. It's so important, and it builds. When you tough it out, you create that muscle that kicks in. When you think, oh, it's going to be so tough. I did it yesterday. I've done this before. All I got to do is get through the first mile. All I got to do is get to the shower. All I've got to do is this. And you know you can because you have. And you can't do that with complacency. No way. No. But without resolve, you're going to quit when it gets tough. You are. If you don't have resolve. Slightest thing gets in the way. Well, I tried. Yeah. Your dreams turn into, you have a lot of half-built bridges. You have a bunch of roads to nowhere. Yeah. You hear that little voice, what's the use? Nobody notices. You notice. If it's important, you notice. Without resolve, apathy, complacency. That's why 92% of New Year's resolutions fail before February. I've got a New Year's resolution to not make New Year's resolutions. And they don't fail not because they don't want it. No. They didn't stay the course and they didn't have the resolve. When it got tough, there's Cinnabon right there. One Cinnabon, come on. I've got coffee. Cinnabon goes great with coffee. So without resolve, everything else crumbles. Your clarity becomes fuzzy and you give up your freedom because you start saying yes. Okay, so how do we seek it and achieve it and keep it? You've got to decide before that first test comes. Commitment first, feelings second. Because you're not going to feel like it. You're not. You're going to feel like you can do it later. Procrastination sneaks in. And if you're not clear on it, that gets fuzzy. I can't see. Is that what I want or is that what I want? No. Decide before that test comes. And you got it. Build small disciplines daily. Small disciplines daily. I've heard it a million times. I didn't do it for a while. Now I'm doing it again. I make my bed up. I get up, make my bed up before I brush my teeth. And I'm a toothbrusher, just so you know. Little things, all right? Then I do this. Routine, yeah, but you can challenge those routines. But build small disciplines in daily. I'm not going to do this before I do that. My parents built that into me when, you come home from school, you do your homework, you do your chores, then you play. And don't switch up 1 and 2. Homework, chores, play. All right, I knew it. And it built that discipline, small disciplines. By the time I got to dinner, I had done it all, unless I had a ton of homework. And then, but you built that discipline in. And then surround yourself with accountability. It's so important. And we talked about that earlier. The people who set goals, but they don't have any accountability, chances are they're not going to hit them. But that's why it's important to have somebody to go to the gym with. It's important to let somebody know, here's what I'm going for, and I need you to keep me on track. I need you to knock that out of my hand when I'm about to take a bite. But surround yourself with that. You know why? These are positive people. These are people that care about you. Surround yourself with those people. Because resolve is like a steering wheel. Freedom is the gas, and clarity is the map. Without resolve, you're parked. You got a full tank, your map in your hand, but you're not going anywhere because you can't steer. There's no resolve. It's important. Decide before the test comes. Build small disciplines daily and surround yourself with accountability. Write yourself notes. Set yourself reminders. Ding. Technology is your friend around that. Okay, we've got it. Freedom, clarity, resolve, the trio. The trio. The three tenors. How do you put them together? Well, just think about it. This very simplistic way to talk about it. Freedom gives you space. Freedom, space. Think breaking out of jail or whatever, or being released from jail. Freedom gives you space. Clarity gives you direction. All right, I got space now. Which way do I want to go? Relationship-wise, conversation-wise, me time-wise, career-wise, all of this stuff. I've got space with freedom. Clarity gives us direction. Okay, I'm going to go this way. And resolve gives you momentum. Oh, I did that. That wasn't that bad. I'm going to do that again. I didn't think I could do that. Now I've done it. Now what else can I do? See how resolve is the gas that makes the others go? Put them all together. I need freedom. What do I want to do? I'm clear on this. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to tell so-and-so I'm going to do it. And they're going to hold me accountable. And I'm gonna focus on that test before it gets here. It's so key. Just 3 things. But without them, let's go the other way. Yeah, I know. Contrast. Without freedom, you are trapped. I'm trapped by yes. I'm trapped by what the easy way out. What's comfortable. I'm trapped by that. I have no freedom. So I have no clarity because I'm lost. I'm in bondage here. So there's no clarity. I don't have any room to look. So I'm trapped, no room to look. And without resolve, I'm just stuck. If you do it circular, all right, I've got resolve. I've got to establish some freedom. You stop knocking back some of these burdens and boundaries because you have resolve. That leads to some freedom. Now I can see, all right? I have some clarity. I have some direction. Pull back that resolve. Which is most important? You need them all. But resolve can give you the freedom that will lead to clarity, which utilizes resolve. Does that make sense? I hope so. I was told, don't ask, does that make sense? Because it's condescending. And condescending means talk down to people. Just don't know if you knew that. So together we form that 1, 2, 3 punch. That's where the unstoppable comes from. All right, I'm all tied in. I got enough resolve. You look at the magicians or the illusionists who get out of they get all tied up or they're in chains or whatever. They fight their way out. They don't have freedom, but their resolve or their sleight of hand, it gets them where they need to be. So how do we stay focused, though? Yeah, Dave, I get it, but you don't understand. You don't understand what's going on in my life. You don't understand blah, blah, blah. No, I probably don't. But here's how you stay focused on the trio. It's that daily check-in. This is why that time in the morning or time at the end of the day, I like in the morning better. All right, just check in. How am I doing with freedom here? Okay, what am I going to do today? All right, I've got this kind of freedom. Here's what I want to do. Is that clear? I got my to-do list. I've got my to-call list. I've got my to-talk-to list. I've got a pocket of time that I am protecting to do whatever I want at that particular time. Oh, cool. So I'm free. I'm very clear. Am I resolved? Am I going to say no and save that time? How focused am I on that? Okay, so that daily check-in. And then guard it. Guard your calendar. It's so important because your calendars, a lot of people say, I need to be flexible. Yeah, okay. Guard that calendar so you can be. You keep saying yes, your calendar's full. Guard it. And then weekly, I don't look at Monday. Oh no, got to go back to work. On Fridays, I like to look back a little bit and see how I did to see if I deserve a relaxing weekend or a go-get-em weekend or whatever. And then Sunday, it's preparing for next week. So look at it. Look at your goals. How did I do this week? All right, what do I need to do next week? What do I need to do better? And this is not psychoanalyzing. It's not being some sort of ritualistic, unflexible person here. It's, okay, how'd I do? You know what? I probably said no, yes 2 or 3 times when I could have said no, and I blah, blah, blah. And so assess it and stay accountable to people. Be accountable to yourself. That's where resolve comes in. But the main thing is treat complacency as a warning sign. If you're focused, you'll remember. If you're complacent, you'll forget. Wait a minute. What did I do? I can't remember the last 2 things I did. Are they on the list? Okay. If your list is that unimportant, you need to look at your list. But comfort and complacency, those are warning signs. You're not focused on the trio here, because the trio is around freedom, clarity, and resolve. What this trio gives you is success. Freedom and clarity and resolve, that equals consistent action. Action cures worry. It cures complacency. Action and taking that step, doing something, that leads to success. The trio gives you joy too, because now you've got freedom, you have clarity of purpose, and you got the resolve to get there. What is my purpose? Maybe it's not work. Maybe it's not a relationship, a challenge. Maybe it is volunteering somewhere, doing something, spending time talking to somebody who's down, somebody who's maybe going through something you've gotten through and you have the words. That builds joy in yourself because you got purpose. People without purpose don't have joy. It's something else. Also, you got peace because you're not being ruled or controlled by chaos or other people. Toxic people don't have your best interest in mind. People who aren't good to other people. Chaos, toxicity. You don't have that, so you have peace. And then you're making an impact because people notice that. People notice you're getting things done. You're focused. You're tough as nails. My goodness, don't get in that guy's way. I'm going to get behind him. This is great. I'm going to let him block for me, but I'm going to learn along the way. You're making an impact. And then what it does, and I don't do things for this, and I think people who seek to set a legacy I have some challenges to that kind of person. It's all about their legacy. I think your legacy is built not necessarily by you, but because of you. Your impression is lasting. That's your legacy. If you're so focused on building it, you're constantly looking for approval. Hey, did you see that? Did you like that? How about that? Look at me. I think your legacy is built by others, by the impression that you leave. But that's what happens when you do the trio. Success, joy, peace, impact, legacy. It happens. It's going to happen. And it will be noticed. So 3 simple words: freedom, clarity, and resolve. You put them together, though, it changes everything. Without freedom, you're trapped. Without clarity, you're lost. And without resolve, you're stuck. But with all 3, you are unstoppable. So I got challenge. Let's call it homework. Don't you hate that? I say homework and it's, click, I got something else to do. I'm free to say no to this. Here's my challenge. Don't go to bed tonight without writing down something. One thing that's stealing your freedom. Give me one. Don't give it to me. Give it to yourself. One thing that's blurring your clarity. And one thing that weakens your resolve. And tomorrow, take one step to cut it. To cut that, to give you more freedom. To sharpen it, to give you more clarity. And to strengthen it, to give you more resolve. Because comfort, routine, complacency, that may feel safe, but it's the slowest form of surrender. It is. And surrender is not part of the trio. Freedom, clarity, and reserve. That's how you fight back. Okay, so if I were going to give you a one-liner, and I want to start doing it, sometimes I forget. I get all caught up in the moment, but I even put it in the notes on the podcast notes. Freedom opens the door, clarity shows the way, and resolve takes you there. Without them, you're trapped, lost, or stuck. But with them, you are unstoppable. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for reaching out. I appreciate it so much. David at otalks.com. Dave at otalks.com. You know how to get a hold of me. Hit me up. Tell me what you think. Check out the website. I keep getting pushed. I don't sell stuff, but you can buy stuff. I got merch. The main thing is that you get the message. You hear my heart. Because when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. All right? Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging on. And thanks for O-Talking with Dave. Giddy up.